So your self-image saw itself as being successful, and because of that, your id decided that you needed a new car. So your ego, which is now your ideal self, will now say, what kind of car should somebody that is as successful as me, what kind of car should we buy? Should we buy Mercedes, or should we buy BMW, or should we buy Rolls Royce? You understand? So your ego will now start picking different options that at this level, I should be able to do this. You understand? At this level, I should be able to do this. And then your super ego, which is the self-esteem, which means that you don't want the society at large to see you in a bad light, will now make sure that whatever car you're going to buy, is you don't buy it in a way that the society will frown at. You don't buy it from thieves. You don't buy it from people who have stolen the vehicle. You understand? So it's your super ego that will, because I mean, you can get a better deal if you buy from somebody that stole the car. But if society finds out that you bought it from somebody that stole the car, then society frowns at you. So your super ego is what will put you in check and make sure that you don't satisfy that need in a bad way, thus making society look at you in a bad way. All right, so I'm trying to look for other questions. I'm sorry about the Zoom address. It happened to clash with what somebody else wanted to do. I actually have 2 accounts. So I have to schedule that one for somebody else, and that was why it went the way it did. I'm truly sorry about that. Going forward, it will not happen again, because I would continue. I will keep my personal Zoom link strictly for my own classes. All right. Abiodun is saying that will I run through the sites? Sadly, that might not be possible, but I will send it. In fact, I will send it now. Let me see. I will send it to you guys immediately after the class. I will send it to Cardoso. So I'm already sending it now. Cardoso. So I'm already sending the PowerPoint to you. So are there any other questions? So I have now sent the PowerPoint to Cardoso, and he will send it to you. I'm sorry about the link. I'm truly sorry. I've just sent it to Cardoso. Cardoso, please send the slides to everybody. Okay, let me see if I can quickly, we still have a bit of time. Let me see if I can quickly rush through it again. I'll see if I can quickly rush through it again. Okay, so all right. So can you see the slide? Can you see the slide? All right, so these are the learning outcomes. I mean, you can read that. I've sent it to you. So we said personality has an external aspect, which is the way you react to people, to external stimulus. It has an internal aspect, which is how you think within yourself. It has a dynamic aspect, which means that it can change from time to time, depending on the situation that you are in. And then it has a consistent aspect, which means that if you are faced in the same situation over and over again, you are likely to behave in the same way. So there are 2 categories of personality definitions. We have the structured definitions, which see personality as an internal system that is psychological in nature, and which includes aspects that are inherited as well as those that are learned. And it also says that everybody has his own unique way of handling his environment, which is true. There are people that are talkatives. There are people that are prefer to stay to themselves. They don't talk much. Then the social stimulus definitions treat personality in terms of social skills and discuss a person's personality in terms of the social characteristics displayed in the process of interacting with others. So how do you interact with others? Are you the kind of person that you get angry quickly? Are you the kind of person that you don't have patience to listen to people? Are you the person that when you prefer not to even have anybody around you? So your social skills will so the social stimulus definitions define personality according to how sociable the person is, how outgoing the person is. You know, so we also looked at properties of personality and said that personality is responsible for differences among individuals. Personality is lasting and consistent in that you are likely to do the same thing over and over again if you are faced with the same situation. Please don't, instead of raising your hand, just send me a chat. I'll answer all the messages after the class. And then personality is changeable in line with your situation. If you are usually a happy person, and because you are happy, you are talkative. By the time will come when you are sad, and you will might not be that talkative while you're sad. So we look at some of the things that determine personality. They are listed here. We'll go into them one after the other. We looked at biological factors, and I explained that things that you inherit from your parents, also your biofeedback, that's your genetics, and then physical features, all go a long way that you inherit from your parents, all go a long way in determining your personality. If you are, if your parents, we've heard of families where you have lawyers, all of them are lawyers, and you find that they all happen to just be interested in the law. All that is hereditary. It's something that they gained from their parents. They also say that brilliant parents usually have brilliant children. And you will see it a lot. You will see, children of some of the most successful people also being quite intelligent themselves. Also cultural factors, we said traditional practices, customs, procedures, norms and rules and regulations will go a long way in determining what kind of person you are. We give an example of the Igbo people being very commercially minded. They like to do a lot of trade, and it's because of their culture. That's something that they learn from very, very little, and they like to practice business. It's something that is cultural to them. Also, they say Yoruba people can be very respectful. It's because right from childhood, our culture had always said you must prostrate when you say an elder, or you must kneel down when you say an elder. And so that was perceived as being respectful. So that's how culture affects your personality. Then we also spoke of family factors and said, well, most children are come from caring families where the mother and father, are in love and they care for the children properly and they nurture them, usually grow up to become well-balanced individuals. And where you come from a family where they are beating you every day, your father is beating your mother every day, and so the child may grow up thinking it's okay to be violent. So your family can affect the kind of personality that you have. Also, we talk about social factors. And that's one of the things I was explaining to Abraham the other time, that your social circles, you can see from the picture that one person might have different social circles. You understand? And your social circles, many of them may have the same culture, but many of them may not. And I gave the example that we're in a classroom now. This is a social circle that is geared towards education. But we are all here from different cultural backgrounds. So your social circles would the kind of people you move with, the kind of people you relate to every day on a regular basis will go a long way in shaping your personality. Because if you are the kind of person that you move with miscreants, you can't say you will not eventually begin to commit crime. You understand? There's no way you can consistently move about or socialize with miscreants, with thieves, and then you will not become a thief. it's very unlikely that you will not become a criminal at some point. So the kind of people you move around with matter. Then your situation, what is going on around you at that time will change your personality. If you are normally, you know, I mentioned earlier that if you are normally the kind of person that is happy, jovial, and you like to talk a lot, and then for some reason, then maybe you lose a relative, you lose a relative that you really loved, and for that period you are grieving, then you won't be as jovial or as cheerful or as talkative as you usually are. Your personality will change for that small period that you are grieving. Then, okay, then self-concept. We also looked at self-concept and said that self-concept influences a person's perception of the world around him. So, and we said that self-concept is made up of 3 different components. You have self-image, which is how you see yourself. How you see yourself today is your self-image. One may see himself as being a failure. One may see himself as being successful. One may see himself as being kind. One may see himself as being wicked. So however you see yourself is your self-image. And then your ideal self is how you want to see yourself, how you want yourself to be. So one may see himself as being kind, but actually wants that, I wish I was wicked. You know, depending on, it can be for anything, or one may see himself as a failure, but the ideal self is a successful person. He wants to be a successful person. He wants to see himself as a successful person. And then your self-esteem is how you want other people to see you, or how you think other people see you. So whether or not you are successful whether you see yourself as successful, do people also see you as successful, or people see you as a failure? So that's your self-esteem, how other people see you. So I mentioned that there were several personality theories, but we would only go in depth into one because there are too many to go into, and it may not be useful to us. So, but this is the most popular personality theory, the Freudian theory, and the Freudian theory says that personality is made up of 3 components: the id, the ego, and the superego. Now, the id, as I explained earlier, is the id is the innate desire, the innate drive. You know, the thing that drives your needs, that controls your needs, that whether you control whether you decide after using a phone for 1 month, whether you need another phone, or after using a pair of shoes for 1 month, it will control whether you need another pair of shoes. It is where needs are generated. That's on the id. And the id is usually controlled by your self-image. So if your self-image sees itself as successful, it may trigger the id to say, oh, I'm successful now, it's time for a new car. So that need is coming from the id. Is the id that will say, oh, this is what I need at this point in time. And then once you say, oh, okay, this is what I need, then your ideal self, which controls your ego, will now say, okay, I want to buy a new car. Which of the cars should I go for? At my level of success, should I go for Mercedes or should I go for Toyota? So your ego will control the options that you consider when trying to satisfy that need. It will control the functions, the options that you consider, whether it's Mercedes-Benz, whether it's Toyota, whether it's Kia. So depending on how you see yourself, how you see your ideal self, then you will now take up whether it's Mercedes or Toyota. Then the superego, which is controlled by self-esteem, will now say, okay, I'm saying I'm going to buy Mercedes-Benz. How do I buy it? Do I buy it from a thief that has stolen it, or do I buy it from the Mercedes-Benz distribution dealership? You know, so the superego makes sure that in satisfying that need, you don't do anything that will make people see you in a bad way. So it tries to keep you within societal norms and values. You understand? And I gave another example that imagine if you were in a supermarket buying beer. and your pastor walks in. You either put the beer down and walk out of the supermarket as if you didn't come to buy beer, or you start roaming about in the supermarket trying to look for what is not lost until your pastor leaves, then you go and pay for your beer. You won't just go and just take it out and show your pastor that I'm buying beer and everything. So that thing that made you not to move forward when your pastor entered, was your super ego. It was your super ego that was controlling you, so that the way the pastor will see you will not change from, oh, my good Christian brother, So you don't want that self-esteem to change. So like I said, like I mentioned earlier, there are other theories. Most of them are saying, exactly the same thing, but just saying it in a different way. So if you can understand the Freudian theory, you are likely to understand the others when you read it. So you can read up on them. There are many. We have Adler's theory of social interest and superiority. We have Karen Horney's theory. We have Sullivan's personality theory. We have trait and factor theory. We have omniscient theory. We have Pavlovian theory, and so on and so forth. There are so many. So you can feel free to read that on your own. But once you've understood Freud's theory, it will be pretty easy to understand the rest. Now, the last thing we'll look at is why do we study personality under consumer behavior? Why? Because we are studying personality because we are going to be marketers. So if you are a marketer one day or you own your own business, you want to be able to understand how the personality of your customers can affect your business. So the first way you can affect it is a market segmentation. If you, for instance, are the kind of person that you are selling maybe a high-end luxury product, then you know that you want to be able to market it to people who can afford it. So you have to look at the personality of successful people. What kind of personality do successful people have? What are the things they like to do? Successful people like to, to hang out in high-end clubs. They like to shop in some certain places. They like to, they want to buy some certain brands and so, So if you are bringing in a new product, you know that, okay, you are going to find people who can afford your product in ShopRite as against in Yaba Market. You understand? So it is the personality that you look at, that you refuse to know that, okay, the person that can buy my product will most likely prefer to shop in ShopRite. You understand? So it will help you segment your market properly. Then it also helps you to plan advertising and promotions. Again, if you have a product that you want to bring into the market, and you have to advertise it, you have to do some promotions around it. By the time you understand the personality of who can buy your product, then it becomes easier to plan that kind of advertising. You know where to advertise. Like, for instance, I said that you would never see a Mercedes-Benz advert on Africa Magic. You would see it on CNN. And even on CNN, you don't see it as many times. Not because Mercedes-Benz cannot afford to advertise everywhere, but because they know that the people that they are looking for are people that are serious-minded, that are executives, and they are looking at the personalities of executives. Don't want to sit down watching Africa Magic. They prefer to sit down watching CNN. So that's why they advertise there. You understand? So that's how personality helps you to plan your advertising and your promotions. Also, you know what they would enjoy watching, because you know what kind of personality they have. Another way that personality helps is with product positioning. So you can be able to know where to position your product, where to put your product, where the people that can afford it or people that are likely to buy it are likely to be. You understand? So if, for instance, you're a company selling high-end whiskey, and you know that the people that can afford it are people that go to high-end clubs. So you know that, okay, you are looking for outgoing people who can afford to go to a high-end club, because there are low-end clubs where they would only sell beer. You understand? But a high-end club a high, you are selling high-end liquor, so you go there. You go there and you know that that's where you have to put more of your product than to put it in Mushi, in clubs in Mushi, and what you will send to Mushi will be maybe like 1 or 2 bottles, while you are sending maybe like 3 crates to VI, something like that. And then the last way that personality is important is that it helps us to understand purchase behavior. Your personality may be the kind of person that you don't like to go to the market every day. So if you don't want to do that, then you would buy in bulk. But there are some people that they want their self-esteem requires them to see people, or even for their ideal self, they want to eat fresh every day. So those kind of people will go to the market to buy their items fresh every day. So it is their personality that determined the quantity that they bought ultimately. And, that's very important for marketers to know, so that they can know whether they should push more of their products into the market or whether they should reduce it and then be bringing it every day to the market. You understand? So that's how it affects you as a marketer. So we've come to the end of the slide. The summary of the things we talked are presented. And I see that there are 2 more questions. I will quickly take it. And okay, there are no questions. Or are there any questions? If you have any questions, you can quickly take it for the next 5 minutes. I'm in a class. We can quickly take it for the next 5 minutes and before we sign out. Please send your messages if you have any. So please send your chat messages, send your questions via chat if you have any, and I'll be happy to answer them. Let me go through and make sure I've not missed any. So once again, I apologize for the link that changed, and I've sent the slides. I'm recording this class, so I will also upload this to the internet, and I will send the link to you to Cardoso shortly, so that you can watch it anytime you like. So in the absence of any new questions, I think it's time we call it a day. Thank you very much for joining us, and I wish you all the best. All right, take care. Bye, everybody.